Hi, everybody. Angel here. Hope you guys are doing great wherever you are in the world. And today I'm excited to speak with James from Stay Close Clothing. So, if you're watching live or on the replay, thanks so much for joining. And we will get started very soon. So, here we go. Hi there.
Hey, you right?
I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for taking the time. You're going to see lots of filters floating around.
That's all
So
good. That's all cool.
awesome. I want to say hi to everyone who's joining, either live or on the replay. And I'm super excited and grateful to speak with James today from Stay Close Clothing. And James, I did post the topics down below just to kind of keep me
Awesome.
on track.
Yeah, all good.
There we go. So, again, thanks so much, James, for taking the time. And I think we should jump right into it because we have like loads to discuss. And
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
think it would just be awesome if we could just jump right in there.
yeah.
So, my first question for you is if you could tell us a bit about your personal vegan journey, how you started, and how you ended up to where you are today, please.
Yeah, so it started way before the clothing company and everything. So I went vegetarian when I was 21, so about 9 years ago. And it was weird. It was actually, I moved to Australia to live in Australia for a year. And
Oh,
that's when I decided to go vegetarian. So I moved to Australia, like land of the barbecue, and
I
decided
know.
to give up meat and everything. Yeah, but it was a time where like I wanted to. I was going to Australia. I wanted to do new things, experience new things, and just the vegetarian diet before I knew about the vegan diet had
Yeah.
always sort of caught my eye. There was a few things I've been doing leading up to it. Um, like I remember seeing some. There was I always talk about it. There was a band, an American punk band called Rise Against, and one of their music videos is it's just all slaughterhouse footage. And
Mm.
yeah, and it was the first time I'd ever seen it, and it really shocked me, like really shocked me. So I did research into what it was, and yeah, that was the start of it. Yeah, and my girlfriend at the time was vegan. She'd been vegan for about 10 years previous. So yes, I had like all the guidance in the world from her. And yeah, I was vegetarian for 6 or 7. So I've been vegan 3 years now. So I was vegetarian sort of six years prior, and then yeah, it was just that sort of transitional phase of learning more about agriculture and the dairy industry, learning more about how the animals are treated. It just took me down that road, but I did do it over a really long period of time. And I don't really have any explanation for that. It was just yeah, and I sort of just did my own research over time, and then started to sort of just I cut things out very gradually. I got rid of cow's milk and did oat milk. I got rid of, you know, the meat, replaced it with cheese, and I replaced the cheese with, it was just a very progressional thing. All just as I learned new things, I used that information and knowledge to help me move forward on the journey. And it did take a long time. But then about 3 years ago, I got to the point where it was more that I couldn't, because I knew so much, I'd done so much um, research into it. I just couldn't be vegetarian anymore, despite at the time the availability of vegan food, how easy it was to be vegan. None of that became important. It was just I can't be a part of. I wanted to remove as much of my own impacts on animals as possible, and then yeah, went to veganism, and really didn't. I've said this before. I found the transition of meat eater to vegetarian easier than vegetarian to vegan, because there's a lot more things you have to look out for.
Yeah.
But again, I think with anything with veganism, the more research you do, the longer you do it, the easier it becomes. And that's not talking about the availability of stuff. Once you look at the ingredients of one type of food, or one snack or whatever, you know then whether it's vegan or not. It's just about doing the research. And yes, I've been vegan 3 years now. And yeah, that's the journey on the dietary side. And then all of this, the company was like a byproduct. So when I came back from Australia, I just wanted something creative to do. I wanted an outlet, because before I was in Australia, me and my friends were in a band. And then when we come back, we still wanted to have like a creative outsource, but I wasn't ready to move back into music. And I had all these sort of sketchings of old like band artwork or merchandise designs, and just sort of threw it all together. And that's where the company come from. And yeah, to begin with, the company wasn't opinionated at all. I didn't think it would ever get to this level. I didn't think it would ever be anything. So I just I kept it fun. I kept it unopinionated. It was just things that I thought looked cool. And then over time, the more research I was doing into the agricultural world, the hunting world, the animal abuse world, like all these, I couldn't have this separation between the person that I was and the person I was putting out through the company. And that's where sort of the changes in the company started.
Yeah, I love that, because what you're talking about too is like you want to live in alignment with, what you feel is important. And if there's a conflict, that could keep you up all night, that can really like, spin you around if you're not in alignment.
And it was also like, because I was very fortunate with Stay Close. Like we grew a following very quickly. We had quite a good reach on social media, all those things. And I just felt because I had this platform, I wanted to try and use it in a way that I thought was for good, not just selling clothing, making money. I thought, right, I'm in a position where people are sort of listening or looking at me, as it were. And I thought, well, I might as well try and do some good with it. And it was a really interesting thing, because I tried to keep it separate for so long, because I know what happens as soon as you start pushing your opinions onto people. 75% of people are just going to shut you off and cut you out. And that's what happened with Stay Close. We lost a huge amount of our following, a huge amount of our custom when I started pushing the vegan beliefs. And to my surprise, like the anti-hunting beliefs, like we lost so much support when I started speaking out about hunting. But then it was almost like the company sort of started again, and we started from a following of like-minded people who really believed in our message. And that was quite nice to be able to back and forth, like build up a proper customer relationship, because we had something in common straight away. So the transition of taking the company from unopinionated to being, extremely opinionated, it was difficult, but it was worth it, because the amount of people that stuck with us and now follow us to this day are all people that I want to support me and my company. Like if there's people who think hunting is good, then I don't want your custom, I don't want your support. Like you're the people that I'm trying to get through to. But yeah, that was, it was like you say, I felt like I couldn't hide the things I wanted to talk about, and I wanted to have this platform and use it for some sort of good.
Yeah. Now let's backtrack a little bit, please. So what is the meaning behind Stay Close clothing? What does that mean exactly?
So, I mean, Stay Close, and this is what's really nice about it, is because I very rarely get to tell these sorts of stories, because we've gone so far, away from the original meaning of Stay Close. Stay Close was what I would sort of sign off in messages to my friends. So
take care. Like
it was kind of what I would say to my friends. It was just like, right, I'll see you in a bit, stay close.
I love that.
Yeah, and because the whole company was started by me and my two best mates, it just, I don't know, it just, the two words just had such meaning to me. And then what was cool was people adapted it to give it their own meaning. Like people started looking at the word stay close, and they were sort of linking it to like, keeping your friends close, your enemies closer, like staying close to the things that you're passionate about, the things that you believe in. And it just built up this really cool belief. But yeah, the stay close originally was just how I was when I was talking to them. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Cool. Yeah. Yeah, for anybody who is here live, please put your questions and comments down below for James, and thanks so much for watching. And also let us know where you're tuning in from around the world. It's always interesting to find out where people are on this big blue planet of ours. And so tell us a bit, please, about exactly how you got into the whole activism arena, what your mission is and what your activities are behind your activism. And also, if you could clarify for those of us who are not super clear on this, when we hear the words hunting sabs, what does that mean?
Yeah, cool. So Um, like I say, so I was running the company. The company was doing well. It was fun. We were getting a bit of traction. People were following us. But at the same time, obviously, I was doing, I was moving further down my vegetarianism, my veganism, doing more research. And for me, like it's hard to talk about it because it's like, so many things are wrong with this world. But for me personally, one of the biggest injustices, just from my eyes, is fox hunting. I've I can't like I find it so hard to even describe how I feel about it. I just think it's the most like effed up thing you can do. Like, and I know that's coming from myself who lives in England. It's my experiences, so I just want to sort of clarify that. But coming from England and knowing that this thing exists, like if the thing you find fun is having an animal like ripped to shreds, then I don't understand you. I don't get it. I don't think like that's my best way to explain it is I don't get it. I will never be able to understand these people. And these are people that unfortunately I have to interact with on a weekly basis, like in my face. So that was always a real thing that, I don't know, something inside of me was like, something needs to be done about this, but I didn't know how to do it. And then, I had the clothing and a bit of a platform. And I was like, well, what if I did, because I had some sort of animal-based designs that I was working on, just because, again, like animals, they're really photogenic, they're really beautiful to draw, they look great in artwork, that they're used in tattoos and artwork, and just
I love your tattoos, by the way, but
thank you.
I'm too much of a wimp to get a tattoo. So
yeah, they're getting
I'm
a bit out of hand now, but yeah, so I had
to build up the courage, but go ahead.
just do it, man, do it. But yeah, I had all these animal designs, and I had this really beautiful fox design that we've brought back recently. And I was like, okay, like I'll release this T-shirt, and I'll donate money to somebody who like either has like a fox shelter or cares for foxes. At this point, I didn't even know if these things existed. I knew about dog shelters, I knew about things like that, but I didn't know if there was anyone who cared for foxes. I thought I was the only one. So I did a bit of research on Facebook, and I found a guy called Martin Hemmington, who again is from the UK. He's wrote books on foxes. He's basically like, he transformed his entire back garden into a fox sanctuary. The whole thing is like a huge enclosure with like, and he takes care of like 30, 40 foxes at a time, like rehabilitates them and re-releases them, or the ones that can't go back to the wild, he will keep there forever. So they can have like their foxes, some of them that can't be released back to the wild due to injury or illness, or just so he'll either rehabilitate them, re-release them, or he'll give them a life there, like in safety and in sanctuary. So yeah, I found out about him and I contacted him and I was like, look, I've got this company, I've got this design, I want to put it on a T-shirt, I want to sell it, and I just want to give you the profits. And he was like super into the idea. Like he'd been toying with the idea of doing merchandise but didn't quite know how, so he was really keen to see the response from it. So we did the T-shirt and again put it out thinking we would sell like, just sell whatever, just make a bit of money. And we sold like over 100 in a week, and we were able to give, I think like we were able to give £1,000 in like a week to Martin.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was cool. And beforehand, I mean, people seem to think that we sell T-shirts, thousands a week. We really don't, and we didn't even more so back then. We would sell a couple of T-shirts a week, a month maybe. And then in a week to sell 100 T-shirts it really woke me up. And I was like, right, there's enough people that are like, have the same mindset, have the same view, that want to help, but don't quite know how. And they've been able to sort of funnel that through myself and the clothing to know that the money's gone to someone that's doing this thing that we all want to be a part of. It just really let me know that it was sort of worth the risk to push more opinions into the company and really take it to this other place. So that was the movement with that. And then through talking to Martin, because this was when I didn't know about the hunt sabs or anything, I was talking to Martin about fox hunting, and I was like, look, how can this thing go on? How can this be a thing? Is there anything we can do? And he told me about the hunt sabs, like the hunt saboteurs, who again, for people who don't know, like a hunt saboteur it's a group of people that will physically go out into the field, and through like a variety of tactics, all of them, non-physical, all of them distraction-based tactics, will try and lead the hounds and lead the hunt away from a fox, or allow a fox time to get away from the hounds and the hunt. So he passed me on to them. Was like, look, if you want to know anything about foxes and fox hunting, these are the people to talk to. And yeah, I got talking to them, and it really all snowballed from there. But it opened up like a whole world of really like difficult emotions, like learning more like about fox hunting. It just gave me this like it was anger. Like I've always said this on all the live streams I've been doing. It was anger. Because I just couldn't believe it existed. I couldn't believe people did it for fun. I couldn't believe people enjoyed it. Like and then I was so proud that there was these people that felt the same as me and were physically there. And I was like, right, like I have to be a part of this. Clothing company aside, I have to be a part of this.
But I don't think it's mutually exclusive. I think you can combine, you know, more than one cause and more than one passion. And you've proven that you can actually do it successfully.
Yeah, and it was kind of like once I knew about the hunt sabs, the clothing company became like a completely separate thing in my head. I was like, right, anything I can do to help these people, I'll do it. Whether it is just, you know, share their stuff on Facebook through my platform or talk about them. So I just started doing that. I started sharing their footage, sharing everything that they were doing, and then at the time talking to a couple of hunt sabs that I got to know personally, who also run a fox shelter in their back garden, who I did a lot of fundraising for a couple of years ago. And sat down with them, and it took me I think it was about a year of talking to them before I actually became a hunt sab, because I was coming from a place of anger. They explained to me, like, if you go out just with that emotion, you will do more damage. You won't be an efficient sab. If you just go in there to cause a fight, you're not benefiting the hunt sabs. That's not what they're about. So yeah, I did about a year of like training, I suppose you'd call it, with these two hunt sabs, more to get me into like the mental like headspace of what it is to be a hunt sab. And it's something I've been talking about a lot on my channel, is the mental strength of these people. Like it's just it's crazy. But yeah, so eventually became a hunt saboteur, and then yeah, found myself in the field face to face with these people that have like that I hate, that I want to be nowhere near, that have like I've had to watch footage of these people for the past sort of 2 years that's really upset me and angered me, and then yeah, just it just sort of changed everything. And then after a while I was like, look, I said to myself and my two friends that run the company, I said, look, we're changing everything. The company can't just be this unopinionated thing. If we have this platform, we have this following, if people are listening and responding, we have to do more, sort of thing. And it just all grew from there. It grew crazy, which has got it's had its positives and negatives outcomes. Like a lot of them we'll go into, I'm sure. But yeah, becoming a hunt sab was, I think it's probably like the proudest thing I've ever done. And still to this day it is. Like I've said, like if the company ends for whatever reason, financially or just whatever, like I will still be a hunt sab. Like that's just a thing that I'm just always going to do. Yeah, like for people who don't know, like I mean, because I know, again, hunting, because this is what's interesting, like me coming from the UK, you coming from America, hunting there I know is very different. And I don't comment on a lot of American hunting, because purely I don't know that much about it. I know hunting is different in every country, and I always want to say that, you know, every act of animal abuse must be dealt with, you know, individually as a separate avenue. If we're going to change it, you can't just approach every avenue of abuse with the same mindset, because it won't work. So for people who don't know, the hunt sabs, they act mainly here in the UK. They're active in Scotland, in Ireland, in Wales. They are active in Sweden, in Australia, like hunting. Well, wherever fox hunting exists, the sort of the English traditional style of fox hunting, if you call it, hunt saboteurs will exist. And yeah, like I say, we will physically go there, and through a use of tactics, do everything that we can to just divert the hunt's attention from any potential fox, or like I say, allow the fox time to escape from the hunt.
Yeah, and you know, this is a very complicated topic for me, but there are a couple of things that I want to bring up. One is that, you know, I watched one of your IG lives with a hunt sab who was covered. Well, actually, I've seen so far on your channel like 2. There are probably more.
Yeah.
I just haven't caught up to all of your
yeah.
your interviews yet. But you know, where they cover their faces, and I know you stated, at least in one of the conversations I heard, that you choose not to cover your face. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I feel like you all are risking life and limb for these sentient beings whom we
Yeah,
call non-human animals. That's the first thing. The second thing, I'm gonna let you jump in, but the second point that I find frustrating is when humans say, "Well, we have to control the populations of these animals because otherwise, they're just gonna, we're gonna be overrun by these, these species, etc." And the thing is, like, if we leave them alone in the natural ecosystem, nature takes care of itself. There's a cycle, there's a chain of
yeah,
command, quote unquote. There is a food chain, quote unquote. And when one population multiplies, you were discussing this with someone about the rabbits, like they people say, yeah, they multiply like rabbits or whatever, and they do
yeah,
tend to multiply very quickly. So my point is, like, this whole misconception of well, humans have to step in because otherwise everything goes to pot.
mm,
And also the fact that you all, not only are you diverting attention, or trying to like lure the prey away from the hunter, but you're really risking your own identity, your own personal safety, the safety of everyone around you. So
yeah.
first of all, I just want to applaud you all for doing that. But what are your thoughts on these two topics?
So I mean, the population one we'll get to in a minute is one of the most frustrating things. But yeah, so the whole massing up thing. There's so many misconceptions around Hunt Sabs as an organization and as people in general, which is what my talks I did last week, which you viewed some of them, which is I was just trying to like squash some of these, because all these misconceptions, they come from the hunt, and they all exist in the world. All these lies exist in the world of the hunt, and then they're brought through to the public with not a lot of, no one really comes forward and addresses them. So the mashing up thing for Hunt Sabs is purely your decision. It's not a you have to do it, you don't have to do it. If you join a group, it's your choice. I recommend to anyone, for the first few times of doing it, mask up. I did, because you'll very quickly work out if hunt sabbing is for you. It is incredibly physically demanding. It is incredibly mentally demanding. You put yourself in position to see things that, to you as a person, for you to be there, you put yourself at risk of seeing the absolute opposite of the thing you ever want to see. So you very quickly learn if hunt sabbing's for you. And if you mask up, it gives you the ability to pull yourself away from the situation reasonably untraced. They don't pay too much attention to newbies if they're masked up. They won't pay too much attention if someone dips in for a week, dips out for a week. So yeah, to anyone looking into it, the first few times I always say mask up. Masking up is, yeah, it's purely for like a safety thing for the sabs. Many of the sabs will actually live quite close to the areas of which they sab in.
Of course.
That often they'll live in the same communities as the huntsmen, as the terriermen, people who are extremely dangerous people. To have your face exposed to these people, it is a risk to yourself, to your family.
That's
the
it.
hunt will target, yeah, the hunt will target all those things. They'll target your job. So I mean, I've had it, like, it's so with it, yeah, it's purely, it's got nothing to do with intimidation, because we're not there to intimidate anyone. We're there to help the fox. We're not there for a fight. If we like, it's this really, but they get told we do it for intimidation because of we couldn't care about the other people that are there. We care about what the hounds are doing. We care about what the fox is doing. The masking up thing, like I say, is purely for safety, to hide identity, because most sabs don't want, it's a nuisance. Like one of the sabs I was talking to, he summed up so great. It's a nuisance when these people know you, because if they know you, they will target you.
Yeah.
And
honestly, it gives me chills because it's not just the sab, it's their family, their loved ones. To me, when I saw one of your interviews, I was just like, all kinds of things were going through my head. Like, well, suppose they find their families, that's such a burden for the sab to have to carry.
Yeah, it is. Like I say, I mean, and this is what can make sabbing quite, again, I'm only speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for every sab, but it can make sabbing quite a lonely experience, because it's something you do on your own. with a group of people.
Undercover sometimes.
Yeah, and then you sort of, and you do it with people that, you know, aren't your direct friendship circle, and then you have to pull yourself away from that life and exist in reality, and sort of not be able to talk about it for fear of people learning about who you are. So it can be a quite a, you know, a difficult thing being a sab and not telling anyone. Me and my group, none of us, no, one of us masks up, but that's it. No one else does. I've never masked up because I was known to the hunt before I was a hunt sab. My company was known to the hunt before I was a hunt sab. I was very open, very outspoken about these people, which I've said before is it's got nothing to do with bravery. It's got nothing to do with anything like that. I wasn't trying to be cool. It was purely naivety. I didn't know at the time how dangerous these people are. I didn't know the lengths they would go to. Yeah. It was me just thinking I was helping out by sharing these things. So when I become a hunt sab, you know, I spoke to my team, and they were, look, like, you're already known, so masking up won't, like, I just didn't feel it would do anything. I didn't feel it would help. I mean, in my opinion, I feel sometimes if you mask up, you become more of a target, like the terrier men, and who sort of want to give you the physical abuse. They'll target the people in the masks first, from what I've seen, because they think the guys in the masks are the ones there for the fight. They think they're the hard men, so they'll target them first. So I think, like, masking up, it's got its advantages and its disadvantages. I've never wanted to do it, and I've said before, and I will always say, there's part of me that wants, like, I want these people to see my face, and that is purely I from some sort of ego. It has to be, and I'm happy to say that I want these people to know me. I want them to see people that will stand up and openly, like, object to what these people do. That's
be brave enough, yeah. And,
I mean,
and like you know, I'm not saying that people who mask up are not brave. By all means, I'm not saying that, because I get chills just thinking about what risks you guys are taking, either with masks or not. But I can also see, like, it's like you want to stand up to someone, and, you know, look them in the eye, kind of a thing. And
yeah,
that's like, yeah.
I feel like it's almost like they're the school bully, and, like, the fox is their target, and they just need someone to just get in their face a little bit. And again, it's, you know, but then it has its risks again. Like, I've had all sorts. Like, I've had, like, death threats. I've had the lot, like, everything. I get targeted in the field because they know who I am. They know the company. But it sort of takes, I feel it takes a power away from them a little bit. Like, I turn up in the field and they're like, "You're right, James." I'm like, "Yeah, cool. Hey." Like, it's sort of, anything I can do to remove bits of power from these people, like, that's why I openly mock them on my pages. I'll mock them, you know, and I'll take the mick of the things they send to me, the death threats they send to me. I'll reshare, because I don't know, you have to not let these things affect you. Like, something I was trying to tell people is, when you're, and this is sort of only really if you're a proper activist or a hunt saboteur, this might only sort of affect you, but when you get the verbal abuse, especially the verbal abuse and some of the physical abuse, it's not personal. They don't care who you are as a person. No. They're just annoyed that you're there. So whatever they call you, whatever they say to you, whatever threat they give you, it's not actually aimed at you. It's just aimed at you because you're there. And that's what annoys them the most. They don't know anything about you really as a person. They've got no judgment on you as a person of character. They just want to call you all the aggressive things. But yeah, so I'm happy with how I've been open with it. Again, it's not a place of bravery. It is a place of, so it started off naivety, and now it's sort of I want them to know, and it will get me in trouble. I've always said this. I'm not telling anyone to do things how I've done them. I've had big talks with hunt sabs who say, stop, like, you know, don't do what you're doing. So I don't advise the way I handle it, but hunt sabbing, it's an individual fight as much as it's a group fight. There's no set rules with sabbing. Everyone does it differently. Every group does it differently. Everyone handles it differently. Like, I think the way we look at it is, if you can handle your own, then you can sort of act how you choose to act.
So what do you think about the whole thing of, you know, them saying, well, we have to control the population for centuries?
This is where it's interesting. This is where it's different in every country, in every area. And this is why I get sick of people who just use blanket statements and don't make it sort of, they give these blanket statements and they don't look at all the actual factors behind that statement. So they use the population control here in the UK, and it's such a myth. Like, because so here's my biggest analogy of fox hunting being population control, and this is only about my hunt that I sab. So this isn't a blanket statement. In the 3 years that I've sabbed this one hunt, they've killed 2 foxes. That's it. So in 3 years of population control, you've removed 2 animals. If you had like a hornet's nest in your garage and you hired pest control to come around and remove it, if in 3 years they've only removed 2 hornets, is that population control? Is that pest control? It's not.
Right.
It's the one of the weakest arguments for it.
Yeah.
Because we've got a big thing here in England, the whole like grouse shooting, like game bird shooting.
Oh,
they
yeah.
claim that's population control, but my sab group are part of the team that exposed the fact that we ship in millions of birds every year from France just to be shot here for fun. Yeah.
Oh.
It's got nothing to do with population control. It's so posh people can shoot things for fun in a field. There is, or they can rip up a fox for fun. But when we use population control in terms of fox hunting or bird shooting here in England, it has got nothing to do with fox hunting. As I've said, when they chase a fox, they chase the first fox they see. They don't know if this fox is, you know, male, female, pregnant, with a partner, juvenile, cub. They'll just kill the first fox they see. So you can't link that to population control because you've got no evidence or data. You've got nothing to compare it to. And then I hear all these things, you know, up in, you know, things with like the deer population.
Yeah.
Parts I know.
And horses. Yeah. And there's an issue of horses too, like wild horses. That's hard. I mean, they're all heartbreaking, but in the US, there's a region where they were, you know, doing this to horses too, culling them, or in Australia, culling kangaroos, you know.
But it's often because humans have already removed the apex predator. I know up in Scotland, we got rid of all the wolves. We hunted all the wolves to extinction. So now we've got, you know, a deer population problem. So now we have to cull deers. And it's because you've removed the apex predator. And that is, I imagine that is the same for the majority of other areas where, you know, a certain species of animal, its population has got out of control. It's because we as humans have intervened and removed a predator.
And
like
that's my point. There's a natural cycle to the ecosystem, and we're interfering.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you say. Well, because animals have existed for thousands of years before us, and everything was fine. We come along, and suddenly there's all these issues, and people are still so afraid to put it down to human error or human intervention. So, like, when anyone uses the population, as a justification, it's got no standing. It's got no standing in terms of like scientific evidence. It's got no standing as a justification for killing things for fun. It's just ridiculous.
And that takes us to our next topic, which is fuck the hunt. So tell us how that. I was like gearing myself up to say that. So
and it's like,
how does that link into Stay Close Clothing and all of your activities?
So, I mean, because the fuck the hunt thing. So originally when I wanted to go down this activism route and, you know, do more animal designs and link them to charities or hunt sabs or shelters, my first thought initially was to maybe try and keep it separate because I understood they were extreme views. I was going to be sharing some quite extreme things in terms of, you know, fox hunting footage. And I understood that it wasn't things that everybody wants to see. So I was going to try and keep it separate. Just because I understood it's difficult things to see. It's not nice footage. But then I created the fuck the hunt page purely because I wanted that statement. I wanted to make that statement known to people. And it is a big statement. And it's interesting because people have such an issue with it because of the word fuck. Yeah. And I say to these people is if you're offended by the word fuck instead of the word hunt,
I agree.
You don't understand context of language. You don't understand use of language. You're taking a word that is, you know, assigned to be a swear word or a negative word, and you're ignoring a word that like defines the killing of things for fun. So it was just an interesting slogan to sort of pinpoint because it was like I wanted to draw people's attentions. I wanted to shock people, but then I wanted to draw them in and have the conversation of, well, why is the word fuck worse than the word hunt? And it just became a very interesting concept. But then after a while, again, as much as the footage I was sharing, like people seem to think that I share this footage because I like, as if I'm not upset by it. Like I'll share some really horrible footage, things that sometimes I've filmed myself or photoed myself, and people are like, I don't want to see this. Well, neither do I. I didn't want to be there and see that. I don't want to have to share it, but the reality is this is happening, and the reality is these people have hidden this from us for so long. People, unfortunately, it has to be shared, and it's not nice. I know it's not nice footage. I know it's not nice photos. It's not nothing that anybody wants to see when they're just scrolling through their social media pages. So,
but you really brought up, sorry, you brought up a really interesting point, and you've revealed something to me, because I often share, what people say is gory footage of, slaughterhouse images and films, because I'm hoping that that's going to reach someone who's still consuming animals. And it's not because I enjoy it, but it never dawned on me until you just said it, that some people might think I enjoy that. And I don't. I mean,
yeah.
I'm crying. I cried this morning on a Clubhouse call, explaining something of their 895 cobs floating around on a ship since December, because they were shipped from Spain to go to different countries for so-called livestock, and because of some outbreak of a disease, the countries are refusing entry to these 895 babies. They're calves. It's in the Guardian. You can Google it. I can send you the article. Anybody wants to read it. And I was talking about this on a Clubhouse call in a room this morning, and the other people in the room were like, Angel, I can hear the emotion in your voice, and I had to put myself on mute, and I was crying. Well, there he is, Planet Fitness. Tom knows about it. Tom, I'm talking about you. Yes, we're live. And Tom, I'm talking about how, it's not that we enjoy sharing these gory details of these beautiful sentient beings being killed or stranded on a ship for 2 months. And, the headline was something like, they're either dead or they're, experiencing, and then you use like really gory details, which I don't even want to explain. And I just couldn't help but start to cry, and it's not that I enjoy it at all. So it's so interesting that you brought that up, but continue, please.
Well, I think because that's why I've enjoyed these live streams recently. And if anyone goes back and watch, I mean, especially like I did a talk with a woman who runs a dog shelter out in Thailand, and we both cried during that. When I did a talk about the 2 fox kills that I witnessed, and I was the one that pulled the body from the hounds. I cried I always cry telling those stories. These aren't things that are enjoyable. I've said, I don't want to be a hunt sab. I don't want to have to go and interact with these people, but I have to be a hunt sab because hunting exists. Nobody wants dog shelters to exist. We want every dog to have a home, but dog shelters have to exist. These aren't nice things. People seem to think that I share this fox hunting footage for some sort of ego boost, or some sort of I told you so, or some sort of look how great I am, and fuck these people. It's not enjoyable stuff to share. It's horrible, and this is why I wanted to do these talks about mental health with hunt sabbing. My life has been consumed with hunt sabbing for 3 years, and I've spoken to people who've been consumed by it for 40 years. It's not enjoyable. It doesn't get easier. So this is the thing, and like we were saying, it's because I used to share I used to be really opposed to sort of the shocking footage, because I don't like using shock tactics to change people's opinions, but I also understand the use of them. So whenever I share the rather sort of the nastier footage or nastier photos, when people get upset and they message me and they're angry, I sort of say, well, look, why has this upset you? It's not upset you because I've shared it. You're not upset at me. You're upset at what you're seeing. So the fact that you've understood that you're upset by what you've just seen, act on that. Don't get upset at me. You're not upset at me. You're upset at what you've just seen. And that I often, by sort of talking to people in that way, I found you just get a better response. Like I did a lot of talks about how to talk to people about these things, because they are incredibly bad and people struggle to talk about them. I think you need to use language. I don't know. I really started to adjust how I went about pushing my activism, which I think has led me to have a lot more better outcomes when I talk to people about these sorts of things, because they are, like we say, they're very difficult things, and they're not enjoyable for the people that are witnessing them or a part of them.
No, thanks there, Planet Fitness Tom. Big respect to you both. Thanks so much, Tom. And let us know, please, where you guys are tuning in from in the comments. And also, please put your questions and comments down below for James, and he'll be happy to answer. And while we wait for questions and comments to come in, let's go to your IGTV series and what you are, attempting to accomplish with your, conversations with people from all over the world. Tell us a bit about that, please.
The live streams have been really, really fun and really beneficial for so many reasons. They started out, I mean, I don't know in what stage of the pandemic you're in where you are right now, but I started these, what in England what we call lockdown 1, which was back in March
last
April.
year.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah.
it was sort of like, the pandemic hit and people didn't know anything about money, where they were getting paid from, so for me running a clothing company, the orders, they dried up, they stopped. And, I wasn't shocked by this or upset by this or offended. I totally understood it. So it felt wrong at this time to be like promoting a new product or trying to, push a sale. It felt really, I didn't want to do that. And what I thought, well, I've still got this platform, I've still got this outreach. There's got to be like other ways I can use the company for good in this time. And, it was when we were all sort of, I feel we all went through a really interesting phase, because I feel like we've taken social media and technology for granted for so many years and never properly used it until lockdown, when connecting with people, something we've been able to do every single day for years now, it became so important to phone people, FaceTime people, send people messages. It became such a sort of a really important part of everyone's day, was to have some connection with someone. And I thought, like, I don't know, it just sort of gave me an idea. And obviously, because, I was a clothing company, so sort of, my business was suffering. I was seeing other people's businesses suffering. I was seeing my friends who were in bands, their tours were getting cancelled. I know friends that organise festivals and events, their events and festivals were getting cancelled. All these people would sort of the pandemic in a different way. And again, I've said this before, I know that health was, of course, the main thing. I was never ignoring the negative health issues of the pandemic. I just wanted to try and do something that would maybe help take people's minds off it a little bit.
Totally.
So I just thought I'd reach out to a few people that I know. So I spoke to my friend who's in a band. I spoke to a friend who, is a tattoo artist, just different people from different industries. And I said, look, why don't we just do a chat on Instagram Live and talk about how this is affecting us, how we're having to adjust how we work, and how we're sort of coping with it. Again, it's one of these things where I didn't think it would ever get to this level. It was just done to like be, I mean, it was a distraction for me as much as anything, because a lot of people don't know that I work 2 other jobs on top of Stay Close. So I was furloughed from 2 other jobs.
Incredible.
And then all I had was Stay Close, but because it was a clothing company, people didn't want to buy T-shirts, so I wasn't really doing much. So it became a distraction for me. It gave me something to look forward to, something to plan, write down, make notes. It just became this really thing that I just look forward to every day. And then we just did them as and when. I never made a schedule. It was never like, right, it has to be this day at this time. It was just like, if someone could jump on, they'd jump in, and we talk about everything from music, tattooing. We did one with some independent wrestlers. We just did loads. And I did a big one on hunt sabbing, and that's when it all changed, because my pages are monitored by a lot of hunters, a lot of hunt supporters, who are the ones that want to, they jump in, they send me the threats, they try and they do all sorts. And we got such a huge negative response to the hunt sabbing chat. I then did a follow-up live stream on Facebook, and it went crazy with the response to it, which was kind of good. But it brought all these people out, and they started throwing around all the misconceptions about hunt sabs and sabbing, and what we actually do. And I just thought, well, again, I was sort of like, something needs to be said, like someone needs to speak out against these people. And then I just thought, we'll do a whole week just having try and just squash some of these myths. But I was doing talks about mental health and just try to intertwine loads of different things. And they've just been really good. The response has been incredible. I know that because of the week we did on hunt sabbing, a lot of people have come forward that want to move forward in becoming a hunt sab themselves. We were able to answer a lot of people's questions, their fears of becoming a hunt sab, what it was to actually be a hunt sab. And I think we've been able to, because it's really difficult to talk about hunt sabbing, as I've said, in public or over social media, for fear of being exposed. But because this platform already exists, they already know about it. I just felt like it was a good place to do it. Again, I don't speak for every hunt sab. I've only been a sab for 3 years. There's people that have done it for way longer than me, but it was just really good. And the response has been incredible. And we spoke to hunt sabs from here in England. We spoke to sabs in Ireland. We spoke to sabs in Australia. Again, I spoke to my friend who runs a dog shelter over in Thailand. They've just been really positive, and it's nice to sort of connect with other like-minded people. Because I think, as I said, at times you can, especially with quite extreme activism, you can feel quite alone.
In a bubble. So
it's been nice to talk to other people, and it just keeps that sort of that fight inside you, that fire alive, to keep going. And it's been it's been as beneficial for me as for anyone who's enjoyed them. It's given me something to do, something to look forward to. I feel like this platform is being used for something that I never thought it could be used for. And again, I've always said, if the talks, if 100 people watch them and only one person reacts, then it's worth it. It's one person that's now going to become a hunt sab. It's one person that's going to look at their diet. They've just been really good. I'm really happy with how they've gone, and I want to continue them. They've just been great.
And I think, you're planting seeds, just like, when we speak from the point of view of veganism, we're planting seeds. Everyone who comes in contact with us as vegans, they're not all going to switch to veganism overnight. Sometimes it takes like a lot of, little droplets kind of a thing to, nourish and water, quote unquote, like, the seed that we're planting, and so we don't expect that everyone is going to, hear us. So I think we just got to keep at it. And I can also relate, because sometimes I feel like I'm in a vegan bubble and I have to get out of it, because I need to hear other perspectives too, and so I have to be super careful about that.
I think it's been interesting for me, because, as I say, I don't claim to know everything. These aren't TED Talks that I'm doing. They're not. I'm not here to tell people how to do anything. What's nice is I've learned from these things, talking to hunt sabs that have been around for 15, 20, 25 years. The stuff I've learned, through that, I've been able to do more research, and it's given me new ideas. And it's really, it's backed a lot of things up for me, hearing people that have been involved in the fight for 40 years, And I'm saying, it's affected me so much just in 3, and then to talk to them and learn how they cope with it, and how they've been able to sort of really stick at it over the years throughout all, the goods and the bads. It's nice. It's just opened. I think it's just opened myself up to know that there's a lot more like-minded people, because I feel like, especially with hunt sabbing, as I've said, it's not for everyone. It is one of the more like extreme versions of activism. So sometimes you do feel like it's hard to justify or explain yourself to people who don't quite understand it. And I get that, but it's been really nice to talk to people that do get it. And again, because of the chats, we've been able to answer a lot of questions and debunk a lot of myths. And I think because there was, like I say, there was no real aim. There's no end goal to these live chats. But some people, like we say, they might be looking at hunt sabbing, they might be looking at their diet, they might, I've really enjoyed them, to be honest. It's something that I've never done. I never thought I'd be doing sort of, like hosting or interviewing or anything like that.
Me neither. But like you said, I started doing it just for myself, because I was all alone. I was like, oh no, I need some people to talk to. That's how it started. But we do have a question here from Planet Fitness. Hi, Tom. How do you see things growing in the next 5 years, James?
In terms of growing, how do you mean in terms of like the company itself, I guess?
The company itself, hunt sabbing, etc.
So, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, this is the thing, like when working in activism, it's hard to look at an end goal, because the end goal is ending all suffering, which is a huge thing. That's going to take years. But for me, again, I think with activism, it is important to sort of pick your battle and be okay with just focusing on that. If you try and fight, you know, multiple battles in multiple avenues, you'll burn yourself out. So for me, my focus, it is going to continuously be on fox hunting as a priority, with the hunt sabbing and the pushing of that. I mean, just today I've been able to announce that I'm now going to be a part of the Keep the Ban team, which is
congratulations.
It's incredible. They're a huge organization here that they sort of, their avenue of attack is more the legal side of hunting and dealing with like the politicians and the MPs, which, as I was saying in my chats before, that fight is as important as the physical hunt sab fight. So working with them is going to be really, really cool. In terms of stay close, like, again, I don't really know. We never have a set goal, a set target. We just sort of do things
organically
as we can. Yeah. And what's nice with working with Keep the Ban is I'll be able to sort of have a bit of a separation and focus more on my activism and my fight through Keep the Ban. It will allow me to maybe do some things with Stay Close that I have maybe pushed to one side because I've been using the platform to fully focus on activism and hunt sabbing and animal awareness for the past sort of 3 years now. There's other things with Stay Close that I'd like to do that, like I say, are maybe unopinionated. They're just things that I've always wanted to do. But I feel like I've got like a lot going on, but I feel like everything I'm doing is in the right avenue. And I think now working with Keep the Ban is going to be really good. It's going to give me time to fully focus on like a lot of fundraising for them, because my aim is to be able to fully fund all hunt sab teams that need it. Like I've said, I think it's a disgrace that hunt sabs aren't fully funded. It's appalling that we have to like do fundraisers and charity things just to get people's attention to go out and stop people killing foxes. Like, there's no reason why we shouldn't. All groups should be fully funded. So that's one of my targets with Keep the Ban, and that line of sort of fundraising is to just really keep funding where funding's needed, because I feel, especially at the minute, and again, I'm not going back into it because it was a big attention last week of all these sort of celebrities, vegan celebrities, and those people that are sort of, people are channeling their money through them to no real end. And I want to try and use my the skills I've learned with Stay Close in terms of merchandising to push that into Keep the Ban, to do some proper fundraising and push that money to where it would probably be needed. So get it to the hunt sabs, get it to the shelters, get it to just where it needs to be. So yeah, because I never really look at things in like 1 year's time, 5 years time. But what's cool with in terms of the hunting thing, like before I was a hunt sab, and when I first become a hunt sab, people said like, you'll never end fox hunting. It will always exist. It's always existed in England. It will always exist. And for a small amount of time, I actually believed that. I thought it won't end. And then in my short space of time of being a hunt sab, I've watched hunts fold. I've been a part of teams that have folded hunts. I've seen hunts have to merge because of lack of funding and support. The hunt are dying out, and they will, like, fox hunting as it is in England will end in my lifetime.
And I think it's a generational thing too.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think the younger generation is going to support that.
No, I mean, not at all. And this is why I think it's important to really get the word out to the younger generation and get them in the fight as well. But yeah, so I'm really excited about how things are going to be going forwards. There's still a lot to do, but I feel like I'm in a good position to really be able to influence the people that will cause the change, if that makes sense.
Totally. So I want to say hi to everyone who's on the line, and please let us know where you're tuning in from in the comments, and also send your questions and comments for James, and he'll be happy to answer. And meanwhile, let's go to our next topic, which is, how do you handle naysayers and critics of our vegan diet and lifestyle, or even of the utility and I guess the the power of hunt saps? I'm combining both.
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of the diet thing, like, I think what's been interesting over the years, again, quite a lot of the go-to sort of vegan dishes are starting to die out. You know, veganism was looked at being kind of like a bit of a wet thing to do, a bit of like a weak thing to do. Yeah. It was all sort of, I think, especially for men. Yeah, I was going to say, like, I'm not trying to be gender specific. But this is just my experience. Obviously, being like a guy, it was like like if you don't eat steak, you're not a man. Like
Yeah.
all those sorts of
The
things.
stigma,
But
yeah.
yeah, it was things like that, and it was sort of like those things never really affected me. But I was fortunate because I was already getting loads of stuff from the hunters. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing that I haven't, you know, the things that the hunters have sent me are far worse than someone trying to take the mick out of the fact that I don't eat bacon. So I was never, that stuff never really affected me. But I think over the years, all that perception has changed. Because I remember beforehand, it was, you know, people would ask what you know, what do you eat? And they just assume it's just lettuce. And nowadays it's the amount of things that I'll make or I'll eat, and people are like, you know, but is that vegan? How is that vegan? How have you made that sort of thing? And I'll let people try things, and they're blown away by the fact that it is vegan.
Yeah.
So I think,
yeah,
again,
yeah.
a lot of those misconceptions are changing and ending. But again, the whole stigma of, you know, is it manly to be vegan or eat meat or whatever, that stuff never really affected me, because I was like, look, like if we want to go into a debate of what it is to be a man, then come out and be a hunt sab with me. Because there's female hunt sabs that are 10 times harder than you, and they've never eaten steak in their lives. So that whole that whole stigma never really affected me. And I think it is dying out. You know, it's being proven time and time again that vegans can be just as fit, just as healthy, just as strong. This whole protein myth is all but died out. And it was, I think it's what's been great with all these, you know, documentaries and the research. It's sort of getting harder and harder for people to disapprove of a vegan diet other than it's just not for them.
Yeah, we have an interesting comment here from Pomegranates. Thank you. I won't lie, I'm not a committed vegan, but I'll absolutely substitute when I can, and there's so many good options out there. Amazing. Thank you for saying that. And
Yeah.
go vegan, go vegan. If you need help, just reach out to us.
But that's like, because that's a really interesting thing, because it feels like, you know, like every day it gets easier to be a vegan. Every day there's a new product, there's a new substitute. It couldn't be easier to do. It's even when people say things like, oh, it's just too difficult, it's just too hard, I couldn't give up this, I couldn't give up that. Yeah, even those things are starting to, it's almost like they're just running out of excuses.
Yeah.
And again, like I say, those sorts of naysayers, they never really bothered me. It was, you know, because I was getting, you know, death threats from hunters, you know, on a daily basis. Like I say, that there was nothing that these people could say to me that was going to upset me, because of all the stuff I was getting from the hunt. Because they're the naysayers that I enjoy. They're some of the stuff that they've sent me. Like I've had quite a lot of American hunters message me. Like there was 3 guys from Texas wanted to fly me out to Texas just so they could kill me.
No.
It's one of the weirdest conversations I've ever had. They wanted to fly me out to Texas so they could show me what proper hunting was, and then at the end of it they were going to hunt me. And it was just such a wild conversation. I mean, when you've dealt with that sort of level of extreme, someone questioning you not eating bacon is just so irrelevant to you. But yeah, I think the thing with naysayers, you're always going to have them, no matter what field you're in, avenue you're in. You know, naysayers don't just exist to attack vegans and their diets. They'll attack you for anything you're doing. If you're doing something that you're proud of and you're promoting, somebody will attack that for whatever reason. It's just something that, again, I think we have to understand that it's almost not a personal thing. They're not having a go at you as a person. They're having a go at the thing that you do because they can't understand it or appreciate it. But I've always been quite fortunate to that sort of stuff has never really affected me. So yeah, no, go on.
No, I was going to say, we have another comment here from Pomegranates. And screw anyone who's trying to make you feel like less of a man for being vegan. You're more of a man because you actually care about our planet and animals. And then the Holland and Barrett meats and cheeses are amazing. And the chocolate is incredible. All right. Thank you.
Well, I think
that's good though, that you've kind of, you know, been able to, I guess, benefit in some way from the flack that you were getting on the, you know, the hunting side.
I think for me, it's like I deal with a lot of things through humor. Like that's just one of my shields is humor. And the thing with the hunt is, like I say, I want to mock them. I want to make fun of them, because sort of if I don't, and if I let it actually affect me, the things they say to me, it could be extremely damaging. Yeah. So I have to make fun of it. You know, even when it's a death threat, because, you know, it's 90% of it is just, it's not a death threat, is it? It's just them because they're behind a keyboard and they can't see me. some of the people that have sent me messages I've been face to face with in the field while hunt sabbing, and they've done nothing and said nothing, but then online later on they'll, you know, they're all brave. And 90% of it is that. The 10% of it that, you know, again, because I always talk about this in a joking way, there is danger in hunt sabbing, there is risk in what I do, it is going to go wrong one day, but I'm not going to let that affect me. Like, I have to still do the way I'm doing it. I have to have fun with it, because I think it's just my way of coping with it. And again, I've said the things with the hunt sabbing, like my best analogy of it is I go into it knowing I could get hurt. And that's a mentality that I want to put into a lot of people when they're thinking about these things. Like, you know, boxers go into a boxing match knowing they could get hurt. Rugby players, you know, all these sports like that, you go into that sport knowing you could get hurt. It's one of the outcomes. And that's how I view hunt sabbing. I'm not shocked when I get hurt. I'm not shocked when I get abused. When I reshare all the things they send me, and people say things like, well, didn't you expect that? Yeah, of course. I'm not shocked. I'm sharing it because of how crazy it is. It's just one of the ways I deal with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's pretty scary. But let's go to the next topic then. So, in terms of newbies, and again, I'm going to combine it with you because you have a very unique combination here. So when you have a new vegan or vegan curious person, or a person who wants to get, you know, involved in activism, curious, what are some of the things that you would say to either or? I mean, I know you just kind of helped us a little bit with the hunting side, but what are kind of your, I guess, suggestions for new vegans or folks who want to get into activism?
I think something like, and this is what I've been trying to push as well, I think for people that, so when people come to me and ask me for advice or question what I do, I think you always have to respond completely individually. Like I said earlier, too many people throw out these sort of blanket statements about veganism, and they're too forceful, and they go, like, they sort of almost attack these people. And I feel that pushes too many people away. Like I say, I've learned a new way of sort of speaking to these people. So whenever someone comes to me for advice, I really make sure that I talk to that person as an individual, because you can't, you can get through to people in a number of different ways if you just listen to what they're actually saying. Instead of just saying things like, you know, go vegan, it's easy, and then leave it at that. That's not enough. Or if someone questions fox hunting, you can't just say, become a hunt sab. You have to go further into it. Because I get some really interesting people. So people message me that aren't vegan, but are totally against fox hunting. And they say things to me like, well, like, I want to support you. I want to buy a t-shirt, but am I a hypocrite because I eat meat? And a lot of people would jump on really quick to call them a hypocrite. And I don't think that's the way to do it, because everything needs to be viewed individually. Like I say, that like eating meat and animal agriculture is a completely different topic, discussion, debate than fox hunting. They're two completely different acts. They both involve, the only similarity is they both involve an animal being abused. That's something we can all agree on. But they're completely different acts that need to be discussed separately. You can't just use the same argument to talk about both. It doesn't work.
Yeah, and I want to jump in there because it's true, you know, at least on this side of the pond, a lot of us say, well, gosh, if humans had to go out and actually end the lives of the animals that they're eating, they would not eat animals.
Yeah.
And I think that is what is connected to what you're saying too. Like, you know, yes, a lot of humans are eating animals, but that doesn't mean that they would actually go out there and, you know, end the lives of those animals themselves.
No, again, I mean, because I always end up having a really interesting conversation with people. So when these people talk to me about either being a hypocrite, I'm like, well, no, because what you've done is you've looked at one avenue of animal abuse, fox hunting. You've understood that it's wrong. You've taken sympathy and compassion for the fox, the victim, the target. You've shown you've got that compassion in you to show empathy for a creature other than yourself. That's enough for you to then look further, and you might get there yourself. So when these people say they hate fox hunting but they eat meat, I say, okay, cool, well, you know, fox hunting is wrong. Have you looked at things like bullfighting? Like, look how messed up that is. Dog fighting, you know, and then
horse racing.
Yeah, anything like that. Then you can slowly bring it back to their own diet. Or 9 times out of 10, these people will actually bring it back to their own diet. They'll bring it back to their own plate. You just have to set them on the path in the right way. To the people that, again, come at me who want to look into veganism, I always ask them their reason because people don't ask the reason enough. People like, so for me,
what's your why? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because people, some people, 9 times out of 10 people want to go vegan for the animals, but you get people that want to go vegan for the dietary. They want to lose weight. They want to put on muscle. They want to get better skin. I think they're the questions you need to ask. So I sort of try and guide people on that. And again, I sort of, people that want to make the full change but are finding it difficult, I say, well, take steps. You don't have to go vegan overnight. I didn't. A lot of people don't. That's not, we're not expecting the whole world to go vegan overnight. It literally won't happen. I hate when people sort of, they say they dream of it to happen overnight. It's not gonna. You have to be logical. So I say, I sort of tell people like, well, instead of using cow's milk, use oat milk. Cut things out gradually. Try a substitute. If you like it, use it more. If you don't like it, try a different one. I think it's as admirable to take things like gradually and in stages as it is to cut everything out in one go. So yeah, I just try and really talk to these people individually to give, them individual personal advice that will put them on a path that if they see a positive response in themselves, they'll keep going. If you just give them some really blanket advice and they don't have a positive reaction to it, they'll just revert and go back. And I feel that's happening too much in the vegan community right now. Is people just sort of, they're not given the right information, which leads that person to have a negative response or reaction to veganism or activism and pull away from it, which is why, with the hunt sabbing, I wanted to squash all these myths that it's this extremely violent activity where every week we have a fight, or every week one of us ends up in hospital, or every week an animal dies. It's not that. There's more to it than that. So yeah, that's what I try and do. I try and just be really individual with people. I find you have a much better response if you take the time to talk to someone individually. But yeah, in terms of veganism, as we've said, it couldn't be easier right now. Every restaurant, every fast food chain has vegan options. Every supermarket has substitutes, has replacements. Like, just try things. If there's something you think you want to try, just try it. If it doesn't work, try something else. I think that's my best advice.
Yeah, I agree. We have Pomegranate saying someone has to stop them. Foxes are beautiful animals and you're standing up to protect them. It's an amazing thing. And yeah, if I wanted to join you with the Sabs, how would I go about that?
So yeah, awesome. The best way to do it, if you go onto the Hunt Saboteurs website, which I think is just www.huntsaboteurs.co.uk or huntsab.co.uk, you'll be, if you go on Google, you'll be able to find it. And on the main Hunt Sab website, there's a tab which says find your Hunt Sab team or something, and you put your postcode in it, and it will give you all the Hunt Sab teams near you, and then it will give you a contact email, and you just send them an email saying you're interested, and they'll get back to you, and you go through sort of like a back and forth type thing. It's a bit difficult right now, what with the pandemic has ended the fox hunting season here in England, so I don't know, it's going to be hard for us to take on new Sabs now because there isn't actually a season to go out and Sab, but there are things. We have like training days and new recruitment days in the summer, which are all things that are being organised right now. So yeah, send an email and someone will get back to you. That's how I did it. Or if you're on Instagram, every group will have an individual Instagram page. They're
still online. Yeah, online activity.
I mean, the best place is the main website because not all sub groups reply through social media. But you can try the Instagram page, or if you message me and let me know where the area you live in, I can pass you on to the nearest group.
Awesome. And Pomegranate says, yeah, absolutely. I bought a t-shirt, long sleeve, and 2 shot glasses from you guys to support.
Oh, sick.
And she also says, thank you. Yes, here for all of that. I'll get in touch. Awesome. Thank you, Pomegranates. Yes.
I know that order. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. That's awesome.
Awesome. So while we wait for more comments and questions, let's go to your future projects. Are there any future projects that you want to share at this time?
Yeah, well, I mean, because the big announcement, which is nice that we're having this chat tonight, is the fact that I'm now working with Keep the Ban. That's going to be huge. So what's interesting, the place that I come from is a background of running a clothing company, having knowledge in merchandising. And it's something that a lot of activist groups, sort of your Hunt Sabs and stuff, it's something they've never really thought about because they've never had to. Selling clothes isn't their go-to. Saving lives is their go-to. That's why they exist, is to save lives. So what I offer to these groups, and what's been quite beneficial, is a really strong way to fundraise through merchandise, and just doing it in a different way. I mean, when I come to do a sort of activist clothing, as it were, I looked at the sort of the vegan clothing market, and I saw a lot of it was these very like cutesy designs of like cartoon chicks and cows and things, which is, and you know, with messages like, you know, chicks not nugs and stuff, which is great. You know, I support the message, of course I do, but it's not clothing that I would ever wear.
Yeah,
yeah. You know, a lot of activists come from like a punk background, an anti-establishment background. You know, we're not people that, you know, our views are our views, and we will always express them, but we're not going to express them through a cartoon.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so that was what was missing from the market. It was missing really nice looking clothing and products that had that message, and that you knew the money was going somewhere. So that's what I was able to offer. Like, so with the Hunt Sabs, what I started doing was I just started, all of our artwork is available for free to any Hunt Sab group, any animal shelter, any activist group. All of our artwork, you can have it and use it anywhere you want and keep all the money. That's how I've always done it. We do that with Sea Shepherd, we do it with the Hunt Sabs. All the artwork we give to them for free. And that's
beautiful.
It's cool. And again, it was a way to make Stay Close exist outside of Stay Close. If it was to end tomorrow, it will still exist in all these other avenues. And that's sort of what I'm bringing to Keep the Band, is I want to look at focusing on building them a really nice sort of, I suppose, mature looking range of products and merchandise with a backstory, with a message, and knowing that the money is going somewhere, like sort of to proper direct action, is going to the shelters, to the Hunt Sabs. And then we're going to take that fight to the politicians, to the MPs. You know, I'm not just here just to do clothing. There's, like I say, our voices need to be heard in places like Parliament. We need to get, especially here in England, in terms of fox hunting, the ban strengthened, or just fox hunting removed altogether. There's so many things we need to do. Like, we want to try and bring, there's a lot of separation in activist groups. I feel people, like I say, they have their avenue and they focus on it, which is brilliant, and they get really good at doing what they're doing. But then you've got other groups that are doing the same thing, and I always look to try and intertwine these groups. And something I've done with Stay Close, with the collaborations we've done, I've been able to sort of bring different people from different avenues together to come up with a good end product with a good end message and cause. And that's sort of what I want to do with Keep the Band, is try and just sort of do what I'm doing with Stay Close, but on a much bigger platform, in a much bigger way. Because I had this really awkward conversation on my lives the other day. The difficult thing with activism is so many people are afraid to talk about money. Nobody wants to talk about money. And the point is, we need to raise money. Unfortunately, you need money to cause change. Hunt Sab groups, they need equipment. They need the cars to be functional and MOT'd and full of petrol. You know, we need... It's fundraising is such a vital part of activism, and it's something people are afraid to talk about, and it's something that I'm not afraid to talk about. So with Keep the Band, I want to just try and help influence their merchandise and their fundraising, because, you know, we're not just going to do clothing. We've got fundraising, like projects and ideas in a way. Like, I've got a good background of the music industry and festivals. There's things there we can work with. I've got a good background of the tattoo industry. There's things we can do there.
And vegan tattoos are becoming, you know, super popular now. And I think what you're getting at is, like, you know, there's more power in numbers. And you know, when you collaborate, and I heard someone say some time ago, 1 + 1 = 11. So, you know, obviously we know that's not true mathematically, but it's like, you know, when you join together, you're bigger, you're stronger, you know, you're bigger than, you know, the sum of the parts, I guess you could say. So I can definitely see your point.
It also sends a bigger message, depending on who your target is, you know, to the hunters or to the politicians. If they see that, you know, not only are, you know, clothing companies against what you're doing, but tattooists are against what you're doing, musicians, celebrities, people of influence, you know, are against what you're doing. That's as important. As I say, things like that are as important as the Hunt Sabs in the field, as the people working in the shelters. There's too much divide of who's doing enough, who's doing the most. It shouldn't be done like that. Everyone's doing what needs to be doing. I just think we can all maybe intertwine a bit more and send a bigger message and work better collectively.
And you're making me wonder, like, if it's something to do with our human ego. Like I know you mentioned that before, but I'm wondering if it's like a power grab, or if it's like, hey, I don't want to kind of share the limelight. I wonder if there's some of that in there too.
I mean, I don't know, like, because I've struggled with this ego thing for a while, and I get it a lot. I get it, the fact, I use my company to use my face and my voice to view my opinions. Like, am I trying to be a martyr? Am I trying, And then it's weird that I was doing these talks on vegan celebrities who do talks, but I'm sort of doing the same thing they're doing. But the thing with it was, I think as long as your actions are backed up by your voice, so many people can say things and go and do the other. But I say I'm a hunt sab and promote hunt sabbing, and then I go hunt sab. I say I'm going to do something with my company, and then we go and do it. And I think, but in terms of ego, I think there is a part of that. And I think something I'm trying to get across to people is, I hate the idea that we're led to believe that your own actions, an individual's actions, can't make a change. So there's no point doing anything, because we're told that you won't make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, one person will never make a
You're
difference.
too small. You're just a small fry.
Yeah. But the point is, and I thought this because I thought I was the only one that was against fox hunting. And then I discovered that there's an army of people against fox hunting. You're never on your own. Like, and I hate the people that tell people they can't do anything are the people that haven't tried to do anything.
Yeah, they're not doing anything.
That's all it is. Yeah. And I think it's a big thing of, like, pulling people together who maybe didn't think they could cause an impact or wouldn't have an effect on big change, and going, no, what you're doing is so important that if you come and do it, if you do it in this way and aim it sort of in this direction, just things like that. And it's something I was really trying to squash with those talks. Because again, this is mind blowing for me. I didn't think this company would ever do things like this,
But I think that's an example of how you're just letting everything evolve, like, naturally and organically. And you're not, like, putting yourself in a box and saying, okay, well, here's my target, 1, 2, 3. You're like, no. Let me move with the times. Let me see how things are going. And then, okay, well, yeah, I need it in this direction or that direction.
And again, like I say, I think it's great that people, they have their fight, they have their battle, they have their passion, they go down that avenue, and that's their focus. Good. Like I say, I think when you try to get involved with too many different things at once, you'll burn yourself out. But I just think it needs some people to take a step back and look at how everyone's operating, and then try and intertwine them, and sort of just try and. I've got this really weird thing. Like, I've always, I look at things differently, and I think I tend to oversimplify things, which I think is why I find it easy to sort of do some of the things that I do, because some of these things, these big ideas of change, I know they're going to take a hell of a lot of work. And, it's not because people haven't tried to change them before. I just think sometimes it just takes a different perspective.
Yeah.
And fortunately, some of the people that I've been speaking to about these upcoming projects, they feel the same thing. And I just want to try and cause, like, I don't want to change how things are being done, because how they're being done is perfect and we need to continue. I just don't think there's anything wrong with trying to do something slightly different, because it can only have a positive effect. That's how I'm thinking. And yes,
and I feel like different people speak to different audiences. So your style will appeal to certain people, and then other people's styles will appeal to other people, because we're all different, and things resonate differently for all of us.
But this is the interesting thing that I'm finding is, so many people are so different, but when it comes to activism, like animal welfare and stuff, that's what brings us all together in this fight. And if you can find people that might be completely different to you, look different to you, have a different background, different upbringing, different race, color, gender, whatever, all those things that separate us as humans, we can all unify together by our fight for animal welfare. And I think that's what the community needs right now, is everyone coming together.
Yeah, what we have in common, not what
exactly.
us.
Because I think what's because there's my fight is going to be for the animals, but this is a human issue as well. Separation, especially during this pandemic, separation has never felt more relevant. And then that's before you even look at the world of politics and
the planet too. The environment.
There's just so much divide, and I just think, like, people have got a lot more power than they think. And again, I'm only talking from, like, as an animal activist right now, but people have got more power, and it's just something that I think you can be a part of a change, and that's something that I want to be a part of. I'm not the cause of it by any means. I just want to be a part of it.
I agree. I agree. We are almost at the end of our time. So tell everybody, please, what are the best ways to contact you for more information, collaboration?
Honestly, just I mean, through Instagram would be the best. Yeah, like I'm really hot on replying on messages on Instagram. You
He
can,
is. Yes, he
yeah.
is.
That's probably the best way. I do have like an email which is just scclothing@hotmail.com, but that email deals with all my business emails, all my order emails. So if it's a personal email asking me a personal question, I might miss it. So if somebody wants to talk to me personally, just send me a message on Instagram, and like I will get back to you at some point.
Awesome. Well, James, before we wrap up, I want to thank you so much again. I've learned a lot, and I hope that
Thank you.
others are learning on the live and on the replay. And so, what I'm going to ask you to do, please, is just to share with us your final thoughts. Just kind of wrap this all up for us and put a bow on it, please.
I think like to anyone that's looking into activism, do it, move forward with it. Don't be afraid of it. Ask questions. Like no question when it comes to animal activism is stupid or naive. I asked all those questions. Um, don't be afraid of how activism is portrayed in terms of like hunt sabbing. Don't think that your gender, your race, how physically fit, big, strong, small, fat, thin you are, has how much of a as a person, as an activist, as anything. In terms of people who want to look into veganism, do it. Like I say, it's easier now than ever. It couldn't be easier. Just go and just give it a try. If it's something you're into, try it. And I think, like I say, I just think I know it's quite a big concept, but I don't want people to ever think they can't be a part of something that is big and something that would change things. And I don't want people to ever think that their influence or their input or their knowledge or skill cannot be used and cannot be valuable in terms of activism or animal welfare. Yeah, I think that's about it. But yeah, thank you for having me. This has been great. I love talking about these things, man. It's nice to be on the other end of like of the live stream for once.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're great at your hosting. So I have to catch up on some of your other conversations there on IGTV. So again, thank you so much, James. Thanks
Thank
everyone for
you.
joining either live or on the replay. I'm going to save the live now and share it on my feed, IGTV, and stories, and then I'll message you after.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
All
James.
right, cool.
Thanks,
I'll speak to you in a
everybody.
bit.
Bye
All
bye.
right,
Thank you.
bye.
Bye.